Top Accolade Global News Updates. I am Soy Defy Jackridge. Dalen Ron, a Shanghai-based finance sector executive, started moving a bit of his money into cryptocurrency in early 2023 when he realized that the Chinese economy and its stock market were going downhill. Crypto trading and mining has been banned in China since 2021. Ron used bank cards issued by small rural commercial banks to buy cryptocurrency through grey market dealers and capped each transaction at 50,000 yuan, that is $6,978, to escape scrutiny. He now owns roughly 1 million yuan worth of cryptocurrencies, accounting for half of his investment portfolio compared with just 40% in Chinese equities. His crypto investments are up 45%. Chinese stock market, meanwhile, has been sinking for 3 years. Like Ron, more and more Chinese investors are using creative ways to own Bitcoin and other crypto assets that they believe are safer than investing in crumbling stock and property markets at home. They operate in a gray area. While cryptocurrency is banned in mainland China and there are strict controls on capital movement across the border, people are still able to trade tokens such as Bitcoin on crypto exchanges such as OKX and Binance or through other over-the-counter channels. Mainland investors can also open overseas bank accounts to buy crypto assets. After Hong Kong's open endorsement of digital assets last year, Chinese citizens are also using their $50,000 annual forex purchase quotas to move money into cryptocurrency accounts in the territory. On the Chinese rules, the money can only be used for purposes such as overseas travel or education. China's economic downturn has made investment on the mainland risky, uncertain and disappointing, so people are looking to allocate assets offshore, said a senior executive of a Hong Kong-based cryptocurrency exchange who declined to be identified due to sensitivity of the topic. Bitcoin and crypto assets have attracted such investors, he said. Almost every day we see mainland investors coming into the markets. Tesla's Open New Tab CEO Elon Musk said on Wednesday that Chinese automakers will demolish global rivals without trade barriers, underscoring the heat the US electric vehicle market leader faces from the likes of BYD, who are racing to expand worldwide. Musk's comment comes after Warren Buffett-backed BYD Open's New Tab, with its cheaper models and a more varied lineup, overtook Tesla as the world's top-selling EV company last quarter, despite the US automaker's deep price cuts through 2023. Chinese car companies were the most competitive and will have significant success outside of China, depending on what kind of tariffs or trade barriers are established, Musk said on a post-earning call with analysts on Wednesday. Asked about Musk's comments, the Chinese Foreign Ministry said at a regular briefing on Thursday that it was unaware of the reports but advocated maintaining a fair, just and open business environment. He sparked a price war last year to woo consumers' heat with high borrowing costs, in turn squeezing Tesla's margin and worrying investors. On Wednesday, Musk warned Tesla was reaching the natural limit of cost down with its existing lineup. Tesla's plan to start producing a cheaper, mass-market compact crossover codenamed Redwood mid-2025 to compete with inexpensive rivals. Musk on Wednesday confirmed that Tesla expects to start production of its next-generation EV at its Texas factory in the second half of 2025. But Chinese EV makers are adept at keeping costs in check with a stable supply chain and moving fast with rising competition and excess capacity in China. Many are now working on rapidly expanding their foreign footprints after years of state subsidies helped boost domestic sales. The first batch of new recruits began serving their one-year compulsory military service in Taiwan on Thursday, after the conscription period was extended after 4 months due to government concerns about China's rising military threats. President Tsai Ing-wen announced the extension in late 2022. China has ramped up military diplomatic and economic pressure on Taiwan to assert its sovereignty claims, including almost daily Chinese Air Force missions near the island over the past 4 years. At a recruitment center in central Taiwan's Taichung, a group of young men gathered in the morning called to be inducted, as dogs checked their bags for drugs and barbers shaved their heads before changing into army fatigues. Taiwan's army said in a statement that it expected a total of 670 conscripts to join in the first batch under the newly extended scheme. Tsai has described the previous military system, including training reservists, as inefficient and insufficient to cope with China's rising military threats, especially if it launched a rapid attack on the island. Conscripts will undergo more intense training, including shooting exercises, combat instruction used by US forces, and operating more powerful weapons, including Stinger anti-aircraft missiles and anti-tank missiles, according to previously announced plan. The United Nations said on Wednesday that Israeli tanks struck a huge UN compound in Gaza, sheltering displaced Palestinians, causing mass casualties. But Israel denied its forces were responsible and suggested Hamas may have launched the shelling. The attack, which the UN said hit a vocational training center housing 30,000 displaced people in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza's main city, prompted rare outright condemnation from the United States. Thomas White, director of Gaza Affairs for the UN agency UNRWA, said 2 tanks rounds hit one of the center's building where some 800 displaced people were sheltering. At least 9 people were killed and 75 wounded. The agency's head Philippe Lazzarani said the death toll was probably higher. Israel's military initially released a statement describing the wider Khan Yunis area as a base of Hamas fighters and acknowledged that fighting was taking place near large numbers of civilians. In a second statement sent following Washington's criticism, the military said an examination of its operational systems ruled out that its forces had struck the center. It added that a thorough review was still underway to examine the possibility that the strike was a result of Hamas fire. Since Israel's ground offensive began in late October, Washington has raised concerns and asked Israel for information about incidents, but has rarely been openly critical of a specific Israeli action. Hours after the attack, as night fell, UN staff were still unable to reach the area and all communications were shut down. Israeli forces have launched their biggest ground offensive in at least a month, encircling Khan Yunis, where hundreds of thousands of people who fled fighting elsewhere in Gaza are staying. Residents said the Israeli announcement warning them to leave the area came only after the operation was underway and the main road out already shut. China said on Thursday it has given Boeing Open New Tab permission to resume deliveries of its 737 MAX 8 local customers, ending an import freeze on the US plane maker's most profitable jets, which was put in place shortly after its first delivery in 2019. China's green light is a boost to the plane maker, which has been hit by the fallout from a mid-air blowout of a cabin panel on a 737 MAX Air 9 jet operated by Alaska Airlines, including the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration barring Boeing from expanding production of its best-selling narrow-body planes. The emergency resulted in the aviation regulator grounding 171 737 MAX 9 jets and the cancellation of thousands of flights by U.S. carriers. China is one of the fastest-growing aerospace markets, which Boeing projects will account for 20% of the world's aircraft demand through 2042. It was China that first grounded MAX jets after 2 accidents in 2018 and 2019 that killed nearly 350 people. While safety bans have been lifted, new deliveries had remained on hold as tensions between Washington and Beijing over issues ranging from technology to national security intensified. The 737 MAX 8 registered to China Southern Airlines left Seattle Boeing Field in Washington state at 11:55 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, and in the first leg across the Pacific landed in Honolulu almost 7 hours later, flight data from Flight Radar 24 shows, before resuming its journey. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Thursday.